Secure Things about 18 months ago. We're a security consultancy, so we're working with a lot of different companies around auditing their security requirements, building security architectures, helping them enforce those. And we do that from a silicon level, RTL, all the way up to a system and meta system level. So it was Secure Things. We've this week talked a little bit about Secure Deploy out on the show floor there, and Secure Thinking is the name of our consultancy services. So why listen to me? Why am I up here? What do I know? Well, for the last 5 years, I was the director of all security technologies at Arm. So I ran everything from Arm's secure core, tamper-resistant products which go into smart cards, SIMs, secure elements of various sites, all the way to the Trust Zone security platform which goes into the majority of cell phones, tablets, servers, and all of those types of platforms. And of course, at Arm, that was dealing with both the engineering of the security into the RTL and into the silicon, but also working through the design chain there with OEMs, MNOs, and all the other TLAs that you can imagine. Previous to that, so I did that for the last 5 or 6 years, previous to that I was director of embedded processors. So the Cortex-M3, M4, M0, all of those are my babies. So I was the original product manager, product director for the Cortex-M3, the first of those ARM processors, which from inception to domination. So here we are, and Renesas has finally brought through a Cortex-M processor. So I've apologized many times for that. Okay. And before that, again, I was with National Instruments for 10 years in Texas and also in the UK. So I've done a lot of work with real-time systems. So understanding the need for deterministic systems, very hard real-time systems, and what happens when something goes wrong, it goes bang. So enough about me. So obviously in this one we're looking at synergy and the security, but we obviously have to look at that from a holistic perspective. The devices themselves, the platform and how this fits into the software, the SSP, and the solutions that we're trying to achieve. And I think with security especially, it's this last one which is really hard. Because security is something that you have to think around systemically. You have to understand what you're trying to achieve before you start designing the system. It's not something that you can easily graft on afterwards, or at least not for a graceful or, in many cases, useful system. So what I want to do in this presentation is look at the requirements in a more holistic view than perhaps you've seen before, and then map those over to the technology that we have in Synergy and explore how we can use those to build better systems. So, it's the agenda. We're under attack. We know that. We've seen the press. We want to look at how we build protection with Synergy, how we ensure integrity, how we enable confidentiality and privacy, how we safeguard availability, and we look at how we manage devices over their entire life cycle, and then summary and Q&A. So, I probably don't need to tell you this. You're all in this room. You understand we're under attack. There's a bunch of really bad guys out there. And in most cases, they're the smartest guys in the room. They have practically infinite resources. They're very smart. There's a lot of them. Many of them have nation states stood behind them. And they only have to get it right once. We have to get it right all the time if we're going to manage systems. So, just put that in numbers, you know. How secure is your system? Is it 80% secure? Is it 90? Is it 99% secure? 99.9? 99.99? They only need that 0.01 time to break your system. And your entire investment in R&D, millions of dollars is lost. So, how do we manage that? Well, we have to develop systems where we expect to be compromised in some ways. We have to think about how we manage that over the long term. So, we have billions of devices, trillions of connectivity providing this huge attack surface. We have to interwork with other manufacturers, other vendors. The nature of the IoT is it's not all going to be one guy's stuff anymore. So how do we close that attack surface? The nature of IoT, again, these billions of devices, there's no one size fits all. The security that we need on a light bulb is very different from the security that we need on a car. But the same principles do apply, and we have to apply those. And the other problem with all of this is there's real money here. There is real money for cyber criminals, there is real money for cyber warfare and all these other things. So we're starting to see ransomware being developed for IoT systems. I know that this came out in some of the panel discussions on Monday. You know, who wants to attack a light bulb? Who wants to attack a fridge? Well, if those things are inside your trusted network, that is how you exfiltrate the data from your PC. We have seen real-world attacks where people launch attacks on light bulbs, connect light bulbs, 2,000 attacks directly onto PC and get people's bank details. You are only as strong as the weakest link in the chain. And if that's your product that brings down a large system, you've got a problem. So the other problem with IoT as opposed to traditional InfoSec, information security, is that the consequences of an IoT attack far outweigh those of InfoSec. With InfoSec, you can see people's names, address, bank details. There's big back-end systems protecting those from that. The reality with IoT attacks, though, is that they are both far more real, and they're far more immediate. They're far more real because you're switching off my heating, and you're switching it off today in the middle of winter. That's a big problem. When somebody's stealing my ID, it's a relatively abstract problem. So we have to think about security at a deeper level and far harder with IoT than we've ever had to with InfoSec. And look what a mess they've made of that. So we need to think about these different things. We need to think about failure of industrial systems, people capturing and disrupting attacks to gain control of intelligence. We have to think about how they manipulate data. Again, with the transportation system, somebody can manipulate what's going on in the system. They can change the flow of traffic, they can cause chaos. We've been dealing with one customer where they're really scared about data being altered in their system, so they're producing too much energy and they're having to dump it, and over time they'll spend more and more money producing energy that nobody wants. And that's a big risk for us, an economic risk. And then, of course, privacy and confidentiality on these things pose critical risks to safety, security, and privacy. So everybody knows that, but it's worthwhile going through it. Here's a scary number: $1 trillion. That's the estimated cost of an attack on society. Again, those people who are aware of this will know that when the NSA did the full audit of the grid at the moment, they had it full of attacks like Trojans. Those risks are real, they're out there, really expensive. So how do we start to put this right? What will it like? So I deal with, again, some of the UK agencies, some people in the security intelligence service in the UK called the IOC, a slow motion train wreck. Because we know it's going wrong, we can see the accident coming down the tracks, nothing we can do about it. Well, we can, and we have to start today. All we have to do is develop a set of capabilities. And again, many people, if you're aware of securities, these are fairly well-known terms, but there's a lot of people where this is new. We have to develop a strong root of trust, a very strong integrity in that system where we can prove cryptographically that our device is safe. And of course, we have to ensure that we can manage our devices over their entire lifetime. So we're going to have to create trust. We're going to have to manage trusted relationships over the full lifetime of the device. And at the end, we're going to have to destroy trust as well. When we throw an item away, or when we pass it on to somebody else. Now, a lot of people take confidentiality and privacy and they confuse it with cryptography. Cryptography is important. It's a really important underpinning technology to all three of these. But cryptography is only a technology. It's only as good as its implementation, and it's only, in most cases, people think of it as protecting data in flight and at rest. But security has a lot of other capabilities. We can protect intellectual property. If you've been out on the show floor the last couple of days, you may have seen our demo where we were doing secure manufacturing. So we can protect intellectual property from when it's generated to when it's delivered into the chip. Well, there's a great confidentiality of data. We need to create robust foundation. We need to separate critical functions so we have availability. So when we are compromised, and we will be, everybody will be, you can still maintain some capability in the system. And then how do we update? How do we remediate? How do we fix what's gone wrong? So again, this comes back down to integrity, availability, and confidentiality. And let's start linking those back to synergy. So, in terms of synergy, we have an integrated solution for high security. So what Renesas have done and what we've been working with Renesas around is how we bring these technologies out as capabilities which are really useful and make a difference. A couple of the nice things. So with confidentiality, we're looking to increase the protection of data at rest and in flight. With Synergy, we're developing these security capabilities across the portfolio. So from the lowly S1 to the powerful S7, they all have the ability to do fast, symmetric cryptography. They all have the AES string ciphers and other cryptography accelerators. So these are in here. Some of the asymmetric cryptos are in the S5 and the S7. In the next presentation, we'll go into more details around this. The other nice thing about confidentiality is because we're using these accelerators, we'll talk about later on, with standard APIs, we can reduce our code base. One of the challenges I've always found when working with people around security is they go, yeah, but I don't understand the math. How does AES work? Very few people do. Very few people understand permeation boxes and S boxes and various other things. You don't need to. All you need to do as engineers is call through some standard APIs. Register the key length that you want to use, put in the message, and hopefully it should work. And that's where we need to move to with security. It needs to be commonplace, it needs to be everywhere. From a confidentiality perspective, because we're using separate crypto engines, and these are constrained in the Synergy crypto engine, we can tightly integrate that as a separate block. And inside there, we can protect our secrets and we can prevent data leakage out of the SCE as well. In terms of the integrity, we can deliver a new level of trust and trustworthiness in our product. We've developed an integrated root of trust. Again, the demo that we had on the show floor the last couple of days demonstrates a secure boot, so a secure kernel which had a secure boot in it, seeds to develop that root of trust. Now that enables us to have this constrained and measurable boot process. It doesn't take a lot of space, doesn't take a lot of performance, but it guarantees boot for the device. And that's useful, again, in manufacturing security and in application security as well. And the nice thing with the integrity, and we'll have a look at how we do this using the secure NPU, it also allows us to isolate sections of code. Now, Synergy is a microcontroller, it's not a microprocessor. It doesn't have a memory management unit, but it does have 4 memory protection units. So that includes the standard ARM NPU, NPUs for bus masters and bus slaves, and then a new technology which is called the secure NPU. And the secure NPU is a key component in enabling us to build a high integrity system. And then availability, and again, these are all tightly related. This allows for security across the lifecycle. It allows critical systems to be promoted, critical systems to be isolated to promote uptime. It enables ongoing monitoring and management of functionality before an attack, during an attack, even and after an attack, and a platform for updates. Why is this important? With our mobile phones, we use high security on our mobile phones, and we swap those out every 2 years, that's every 3 years. With our PCs, we've had to swap them out every 4 or 5 years. How often do you swap out your HVAC system or your furnace? Once every 20 years? How often do you swap out your white goods? Once every 10 years? How often are we going to find errors in the code in those devices? A lot more often than that. So what we have to do is develop platforms for managing life cycles and remote updates. And this is just a reality of the Internet of Things. So how do we start doing this? Let's kind of go to the next level. So, nice old castle here. So confidentiality is reliant on a high integrity platform. If you pardon my French, crap in, crap out. If you do not trust the unit where the data is coming from, it doesn't matter how good your encryption is, it can still be wrong. So how do we measure whether that data is correct, and how do we make decisions based on that as well? So big data is only as good as the data that we get in, and if that's wrong, the whole premise of big data falls apart. So traditionally embedded systems, we all know these are islands. It's not the case anymore. We're now highly connected with very complex system definition. So how do we develop integrity? So as I say, we have to do this through a root of trust. A nice little graphic here of roots shaking hands. So what we need to have for our root of trust is out of reset, we need to go into a very known constrained state which we can crawl all over from a code perspective, and cryptographically we can prove is correct. So what we can do with that is use our hardware configuration to do secure memory partitioning, and we can set up some robust defenses prior to secure boot execution. Again, I need to point back to the show the last couple of days, but we were showing the secure boot, which demonstrated all of these features. So at the bottom we have some cryptographic identifiers. These are based on the true random number generator, which is the latest NIST 8900 standard. It is a very, very good random number generator. People tend to forget that you have to have the basics right. If you don't have a high enough entropy source in the device, you will never generate seeds with enough difference in them, and therefore the devices will be open to be broken. Good security always starts with high entropy. And in Synergy we have this really good random number generator there. And this allows us to create a seed, for example 512 bits, and then do key derivation and storage of those keys. Why is that important? Well, because the unique identifier on a normal chip is not sufficiently different. If they all come from the same wafer, the unique IDs are all inside 10,000 of each other. It would take you half a day to break that, if not less. So we have to get the cryptographic identifiers right. We have to secure the hard configuration. And with Synergy, this means ensuring that your secure NPU is set up correctly, and also the flash access window, and potentially switching off the JTAG, so we have secured JTAG as part of the Synergy platform. Once we have those components, we can do the secure boot, we can execute through that, we can set up all of our private keys, and once we're happy, once we can make an attestation, a measurement of our platform, then we can launch our trusted software, our RTOS or other trusted software, and then, and only then, can we trust our data. And without trustworthy data, we may as well give up and go home. Okay. So this is a simple diagram of, again, what we were showing out on the floor. And here, for example, we're taking the Synergy devices and we've done some initial personalization. And what we're moving towards with Renesas is that personalization and the injection of the secure kernel happens at the fab. So the birth of the device, we're injecting the keys and all the key material to make that device cryptographically unique. So this is a very strong key set which can't be replicated, can't be guessed. We keep the private key inside the device, and we share the public key through a device certificate. That device certificate is signed by Renesas. We can verify if we want with the OEM which devices, so it can be just any Synergy device, or it's going to be a specific type of device, or it's going to be a specific set of identifiers. We can manage that as relatively simple. And then we can get these into the contract manufacturer, we can bring together the code, we can ensure that only the right number of devices are produced. We can ensure that the code is never exposed. Again, in the example, we showed that we encrypted the code at the OEM, and we only decrypted it in place on the chip. So everything going into the chip is encrypted. The software image and all the key material were encrypted using asymmetric encryption, and they were only decrypted in place on the right chips. And then we can go and delegate ownership to our end user. Delegation of ownership is a massive subject. If you ever want to read a very long essay on it, talk to any of the mobile phone guys and they'll tell you what a pain delegation of ownership is, but it's an important aspect. So how do we enable confidentiality? Well, as I say, confidentiality and cryptography are often mistaken. Cryptography is an important part of confidentiality, it's not the only aspect of it. So, confidentiality is critical to managing privacy of data. We won't get into the aspects of privacy in this conversation. You know, there's a lot of different viewpoints on who owns data and how private it should be, but that's fine. We have to trust our data if we're going to operate in a big data system. Confidentiality is important, but it is, and passing data, passing messages is critically important, but it is only the tip of the iceberg of the cryptographic setup that you have to go to make that message happen. We have to generate public-private keys. Now we can do that, as I say, on the manufacturing line. We have to manage ways of presenting keys securely. We then may need to cryptographically wrap and store some of those keys. So this is all setting up the channel. We then create a symmetric key for the data that we want to pass. We have to encrypt that symmetric key with an asymmetric key before we send it. We have to share it. Perhaps at the far end we need to wrap and store that key because we can't store keys out in the open. And once we have a protected channel, and once we have shared the symmetric key, then we can pass some data. So as I say, you know, confidentiality is more than the fact that, hey, I'm going to do some encryption. We have to think about how we want to share data and where we want to share data. So what components do we have in here? I mentioned some of these. First of all, we have the TRNG. So this is a very high entropy source. It meets all of the latest specifications. And there's a new one coming out, which we think will meet as well, but that's not available yet in terms of the spec. We have a bunch of hash accelerators in there as well. So if we meet the hash function, so we're looking at confirming the packaging of code or of the data packet, then we have the hash acceleration in there. We have symmetric crypto accelerator, so this is obviously all of the AES modes, and I'll talk more about this in the later session, but the AES here is very advanced, so it's not just AES 128, we also cover 196 and 256, and we cover all of the standard modes. If you look at other vendors out there, some of them have some AES engines, but they don't go beyond the CBC. The engine that we have in Synergy covers the vast majority of the different ciphers that you'll find with AES. We cover triple DES as well as a number of the stream ciphers RC4 and others. My personal preference is, unless it's for legacy reasons, I would never touch triple DES. It's officially broken. So, but from a legacy perspective, we may need to still connect some devices. So the nice thing about having these accelerators is they allow for that very rapid encryption or decryption of messages. It reduces power. It also reduces complexity because the API that we have with Synergy is a lot easier than having to write your own code, and believe me, we've been doing a lot of that recently. And then in terms of the asymmetric crypto acceleration, so this is a piece of hardware, and this includes some primitives for both ECC and RSA. Now, this in a microcontroller is a huge leap forward. So some other microcontrollers allow for symmetric AES encryption, but to my knowledge, there are no other ones out there which have asymmetric cryptographic acceleration. And this is really important because as we move from today's system to more complex systems, we are going to be setting up more asymmetric pairs. In the past, you would install something and you would set up the ECC once, twice, you authenticate it once or twice. In the future, I don't think that's going to be the case anymore. We're going to have to pair more and more devices as we go to multi-vendor systems, zero trust models. We have to presume that we don't trust anything else in there, where I have to create a secure tunnel to all of these other devices. I don't trust you, I'm going to validate this information. And of course, asymmetric encryption is the key way of doing that. Of course, inside here, there are some other things. There is a unique ID. It's not the cryptographic one, but it's still a large unique ID. We have secure key storage, which is included in the engine here, and some readout protection as well. And we sandwich that between this certifiable root of trust and a software security library with the APIs built in. So again, why? Well, because The reality is that we are transitioning from monolithic solutions to these multi-vendor systems and solutions with many, many different components in there. Authentication, authorization, and trust are going to become critical issues in this system. How do I authenticate devices into the network? How do I authorize those